Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, as well as Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
Ruben Bressler.
How's it going? I'm just retweeting the tweet that I sent from the Magic Mike's account. Because we're live.
Right, he just tweets the retweets of the tweets. Twitter still exists.
The life of a social media person, retweeting all of your various shadow accounts.
There you go. So, if you missed our pre-show, which had lots of weird rants about a lot of things, for example, I saw Avatar 2. You should check that out. Subscribers to this channel get access to that NSFW version early. And we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But sub first to get 2 chances to win and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. That is, of course, thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day. And we're going to kick it off here with essentially what Wizards kicked it off with this past Tuesday. So that's their new announcement day instead of Thursdays, which is new Phyrexia. Phyrexia all will be one. Now, this is where, like, you know, new Phyrexia was cool, but it was like a small set, right? It was a tiny set, right? This is where we get to dive full on. Phyrexia is here. They've taken over. We have a Phyrexia creature type. Like, we're not fooling around. It's going to be awesome. Let's take a look at it. Now, they kind of, you know, this is what I believe what they call like a first look or something like that. This is a similar to what they had to show off to distributors and certain retailers or whatever for a period of time to help them kind of figure out how much they want to order of stuff, right? Because you want to give them some amount of the set. Hey, it's a good set. It's got some really cool reprints or a really cool theme or whatever. Well, we get to see those these days, and that's really cool. So, for example, some of that artwork. And I ain't saying they look like a booty, but I'm just saying. And we have really cool.
Which one? Which one's a booty?
I can't do it anymore.
I saw it. I see it. Never mind. Hold on.
I know, right?
I got it.
Enjoy it. But, well, the point is that Phyrexians lost badly on Dominaria last time. And this time, it's on like Donkey Kong. What they showed off was a new Koth. That was rare, which we'll get to. But what they said was, other than Koth, who is safe, 5 of these Planeswalkers on the screen are going to be completed, are going to be turned into Phyrexian versions of themselves. And, you know, are they going to give up their Mickey Mouse old Jace? Like, are they going to actually turn Jace and Vraska? Are they going to be completed together? I don't know. I think Nahiri's sword arms are a little ridiculous, but that's just me. She kind of has that, you know, Edward Scissorhands problems of how do you change clothes? But
she's a wizard.
I know, right? Who cares? Whatever. It's magic.
She puts her pants on the same way we all do, with telekinesis.
I feel like we should all pick one Planeswalker that we think is going to be for sure completed.
I love this.
And some sort of pie bet, right? Like, it doesn't, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Let's look here. We know that Koth won't be.
I kind of want to dibs Nissa.
You think Nissa's going to get completed?
I think that'd be dope.
Ooh, I think that would be dope. She seems like the most antithetical. So that would be very cool.
And, you know, in our Discord where you can be a part of it from our Patreon, we talked about this a little bit about how all of the completed Planeswalkers that they've done so far have been multicolored. The Ajani was green and white, right? The Tameo was blue and green. So if you look at it, you go, oh, well, the mono ones are cool, right? Because, again, they wouldn't touch Jace, right? Well,
but Ajani wasn't always multicolored,
right? Well, one of the things they mentioned, or one of the things they sort of talked about in the presentation was they are going to make what if versions of all 10 of them, even if they were completed or not completed. What would that look like? And you can have a cool showcase version of that, and we'll get to that. But, you know, between Jace and Kaito and Kaya and Koth and whatever. So for that, I would put my money on Vraska. I think Vraska is just 100% getting completed. She's right in the color pie. She does scary, cool things. it makes sense to me.
I was headed towards Vraska too. I think that's the easy choice. I really like Nissa as a choice. That is very.
It didn't have a lot of logic. It just seemed like a dope character to be turned evil, and it's like a character people really love and sort of. So it seemed like storyline and shock factor wise, it would be a good pick. But I didn't have a whole lot of real logic behind it like Evan does.
So here's my logic. My logic is I think that one of either Jace or Vraska will be completed because they have that Ikoria history. They'll probably have like a moment in the story, and one of them will be completed and the other one won't be. Is this the moment where Tony Stark dies? Right? Like, is this where we've had enough of Han Solo?
They've existed now more than half of Magic's life. So Jace has been in Magic for more than half of Magic's existence, and that's a lot.
That is so hard for me to say. I'll pick Jace. I'll be spicy and pick Jace. I think there's a number of reasons why you want to complete Jace. I think that he's edgy and emo and wants to be from the Crow anyway. I think that this is like a good dark heel turn. I think that a lot of Magic people are kind of bored with Jace. I think that his story hasn't shifted or changed much. The only real shift I can think of happened in the Ikoria arc. Everything else has been same old Jace for 15 years. And I think that that's a headliner, right? Like, if Kaito gets completed, if Luca gets completed, like, who cares, right? Like, Jace
I don't
is
want
a headliner.
Kaito. I don't want Kaito completed. He just showed up and he's got that cool raccoon guy.
Exactly. I think that I love Kaito. I think he's a great character. We need more time with him.
And there you go. I would like to have more time with him. So we'll see. I think the Wandering Emperor would be really cool as somebody completed, with a really unique kind of a makeup there. They did note that there is a resistance and there is mirror and resistance forces as there used to be. There are rebels in the set. I think they said there's only 3 in the whole set. So don't expect Mercadian Masks, rebels or whatever to show up.
Fine.
And they're still trying to make fetch happen. And by fetch, I mean equipment with red and white. With Jor-Kadeen. Koth Fire Resistance is kind of crazy because it's very similar to, I think it's Liliana of the Dark Realms, because she +1 to go get a swamp, he +2s to go get a mountain. And not to mention, searching your library for mountains in red is like really weird, honestly.
Yeah.
But,
it is more Koth, though, so I'm okay with, like, it's his flavor.
Yeah,
right?
It's Kothy. He's very mountainy. He likes mountains. And again, maybe they're doing the thing with Chandra where they did a uncommon and a rare and a mythic version in the same set to show different versions of him. But I welcome back all the Koths. Bring the Koth back. I love it. Phyrexian Obliterator, everybody. It's coming to Explorer. It's coming to Pioneer. It was already in Historic. Now we can play it in Standard. Scurry.
Because mono black's not a thing already.
Right. Yeah. I love Phyrexian Obliterator as a card. I like how fair it is. I like how it makes the game of creatures matter. I like how it makes removal bad, kind of. It it shifts the metagame around it in a really interesting way. I don't know that we need it right now. I don't know. Phyrexian Obliterator, I love you. Maybe not right now. Maybe come back later. Maybe come back another time when we don't have the mono blackest of mono black.
Now, what was the Phyrexian card that gave -5/-5? Dismember, thank you. So they, once upon a time, we've been here before, where they're like, hey, Phyrexian Obliterator's a card. This was back when it was a brand new card and everyone was losing their minds. And they were like, oh my God, how do we stop this thing? It's unstoppable. And then the God Book leaked and they're like, oh, Dismember is a clear answer. And it became a nothing burger because they had some of the best removal in the format, completely, negates this card.
One colorless mana spell that every deck could run could kill it. I get it.
So we're
going to have good removal.
Right.
We're going to have the, exile a card equals the number of planes we have. We're going to have terror. Like, we're going to have ways to get rid of it. I'm not afraid of it.
So here's the question. Does Shieldred's paper price take a dive here? Because they share the same spot.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I think it's funny to me because, Magic players have such short memories and it's actually incredible. And when something is good, like mono black or black based strategies right now, everyone's like, oh my God, it is the worst. When in actuality, mono black's pretty good about every 8 years. And that's generally where we've been. It's been about 8 years since we had a mono black deck that was cool and good, and that was Pack Rat and Friends and Thoughtseize and stuff. And so, yeah, black's good now. And
except for the Blood on the Snow and the Eye Twitch that you keep forgetting about.
Oh, Eye Twitch, I hate
it. Was that you hated, but was really a 2.5 tier deck.
Right, it wasn't the best thing in the format.
Certainly not the best thing in the format, but it was like certainly a game player. We had like
it certainly was. It
was good.
We had a lot of mono black in top 8s for tournaments for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We've seen it, but I would say that since the year 2005, mono black's been good like 5 times,
something like that.
Whereas mono red's been good like
right
20 times.
And all I'm saying is, if we're going to Phyrexia, right, which is likely like one of the black mana-esque places that exist, just like we went to Torment back in the day with Odyssey, like this is black mana's time to shine. Like
Sure.
Black cards get to be awesome and do cool things, and this is what we're looking at. So
to answer your question about Sheoldred's price, though, that is really interesting. Paper prices for Sheoldred are still 50 plus. That is an interesting, because it is a legendary card. You don't always play 4 of it, even now. And with Phyrexian Obliterator on the horizon, a card that, oh, by the way, tangles favorably with Sheoldred when they're both straight up against each other. That's an interesting proposition. I would not be surprised.
And
you're also in the same spot, right? 4 mana.
Yeah.
Right.
4 mana, 5 power to kill its toughness, 5 toughness to not die. Like, it's really interesting.
Right. I think, it might be in sideboards, for example. It would be pretty good in the mirror. And it would be pretty good to bring in alongside Sheoldred in the red deck if you can get to 4 mana and not die.
Right.
But that's a whole thing.
You can only play so many 4-drops against red. But yes, if you get to 4 and aren't dead already, it's pretty good.
Right. So we'll see. But Wizards, they've been making Praetors. They've been making Praetors since Kaldheim. We've seen the Vorinclexes, and we've seen the Urabrask, and we've seen the whole thing. Even Jin-Gitaxias finally showed up. And now we have come to the crescendo of the top of the mountain. And the top of the mountain we knew was going to be Elesh Norn. And so Wizards made one of the most ass-kicking Elesh Norns, and they knew it was going to kick some ass, and they knew it was going to be special and cool, and they're making 6 freaking versions of it, which is also kind of amazing. But you got to check out Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. The easiest way to explain this is they get a Torpor Orb, and you get a Panharmonicon, but let's talk about it. It's a white and 4 generic mana for a 4/7 Vigilance, so she still has the same power and toughness and vigilance, for some reason, a legendary Phyrexian Praetor. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Again, that's Panharmonicon. And Torpor Orb, just like she says, permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponents control to trigger. I get the bonuses, you get the nothings. That's a cool Phyrexian ability setup. I love it.
Yeah.
This card is nuts.
I mean, card's insane. Just from a stats perspective, if this card were vanilla, if this card had no abilities, there are 2 other 5 mana 4/7s that have ever been printed in Magic the Gathering's history. They are both gods that are not usually creatures. And they're both multicolored gods that are not usually creatures. It's Phoenix and Crufix, for those of you playing along at home. Elesh Norn is the only 4/7 for 5 mana that has ever been printed that comes down as a creature by itself. And it has no drawbacks. Not only that, it has 3 beneficial abilities. This card is, and it's 1 white mana. This card is insanely good.
This card's nuts.
They did a great job making this very high powered, because people who are big fans of Elesh Norn, there's a little club. It's a very large club. They will be very disappointed if this is a fizzle card. This is the premier thing that everybody's going to be very excited about. And I think even though this drastically does something very, very different than what the original did, they sort of kept the same spirit of the card in that, like, you get a thing minus their thing, and those 2 things are very similar, which is really cool. But then they also just like ramped it up body-wise, because this is 2 less mana to cast for the same stat line and keywords. So yeah, this is a home run for sure. It is interesting that we're getting like the Phyrexian thing, Phyrexian mana, like back again. They're making that more of a regular thing, which I always thought was really cool with the original Judge foil.
No, yeah. I love it. And, I think the whole thing of like, again, Vorinclex doubled your counters and half of theirs, right? And Urabrask made them play off the top and you got an extra card. And like all that stuff, man, was super cool. And Sheoldred, like I slept on Sheoldred. I will certainly admit it. I ain't sleeping on this one, man. Y'all can't give me a Panharmonicon and not just be like, Jesus.
Right.
This is an amazing card.
And we have access to Soul Herder in every format, so things could be worse.
Oh my god, this card's so silly. So they're making a ton of versions of it, which are awesome, and I'm excited about. Slow Bad, if y'all remember from the Mirror Days, comes back as a Phyrexian Goblin Artificer. Feel free to check that out if you'd like. I don't think it's a super good card, but it's
not a great card, but it is a great character. The lore behind Slow Bad is very cool. He could have been the first Goblin Planeswalker. He had the spark. He just never got it sparked. I feel bad for Slow Bad.
That's a bummer. So sad about Slow Bad. Well, this may be, and I'm not kidding, some of the most horrific artwork I've ever seen on a Magic card. Like, I'm talking, this is like Hellraiser plus. Like, this is like, sinew and muscle and blood and tethers and things strung up. For Venser Corpse Puppet, if you listen to us on a podcast, your eyes will thank you, because basically what it looks like happened is they cut out the middle of Memnarch and they strung up Venser in its place. Horrifying. And I don't say that lightly. I
don't like it.
Horrifying.
Well, it is horrifying. Igor Kirilluk understood the assignment.
Yes.
They said, this is two beloved characters. Mm-hmm. One very beloved character, Venser.
Memnarch was a bad guy. Yeah.
Memnarch was a bad guy, beloved by the fan base, but he was a bad guy. Venser was demonstrably a good guy who kept getting the short end of the stick over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So to see this, even if it were just like stick figure art, would be kind of heartbreaking. Like, just reading the name Venser Corpse Puppet hurts me on an emotional level, knowing the backstory of the character. But then seeing this art, it's science fiction and like Event Horizon vibes happening. It's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm actually glad for the art style, because I feel like we could have gotten a more gory, close-up, more realistic. Like, it kind of looks like a mannequin to me, if that makes sense. So, like, I feel ways. Like they like pulled it back a little bit. They pulled some punches, because this doesn't feel like it could have gore and like realism type. Like, if they had like, they could have shown him being pulled apart or screaming, you know what I mean? Like his face, facial expressions and stuff.
It's almost like a robot, like a look.
Yeah. So I'm not as creeped out by this as you guys, because I do feel like it's very toned down from what I think that could have been. But
we grew up, we played, through Venser Shaper Savant and the Venser Planeswalker and the Venser who died in the story. And now he's come back as this awful thing. And you're just like, look what they did to my boy. Like, that's Venser.
I played Ben too.
The art style is definitely much more Renaissance horror than modern or Gothic horror. Mm-hmm. This is Hieronymus Bosch, not H.R. Geiger, right? Like, this is minimalism. This is the things you don't see, but lots of detail in what you do see.
You say it so much better than I do.
Listen, I'm artsy fartsy.
He's fartsy now. I'm just going to go ahead and call it. I'm just going to go ahead and call it that he has 2 colorless Phyrexian mana and 5 generic to cast, because he's Memnarch, but he's Venser and Phyrexian now. So 2 generic Phyrexian and 5, and he has the exact same abilities as Memnarch, except it's Phyrexian blue instead of blue for the abilities.
Interesting.
It's all. I'm just going to throw out the gauntlet.
Exactly the same card.
Exactly the same. Same power toughness. Same casting cost.
5
but
for 7.
Right, but different, because you got that Phyrexian mana in there, and maybe the abilities.
I don't know that it's all going to be artifact stuff. It might just be.
I don't think he'll have the same abilities exactly.
Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, I can see that.
I also think that Memnarch was a miserable design from a limited experience and from a board state experience, like they don't print cards like Memnarch anymore, where they just are like, or like Olivia Voldaren is another card that's like this, where it's like, it's on the board and it survived. Cool. I'm just going to dump mana into this forever. They don't really do that anymore because there's nothing better to do with 7 mana than activate Memnarch. Doesn't matter what you draw. So I don't know that it'll be exactly the same. It might be similar. It'll certainly have callbacks.
Yeah, I can see callbacks because whenever I say something like that, generally what Wizards will respond with is, well, you know, if you're going to spend all the time to get the new artwork and make the card and get people excited about it, if you showed us like the exact same mechanics as this other card, it's not always exciting.
They'll update it in some way.
It'll be fine. So if you recall, there were the Blue Sun Zenith. There was the Green Sun Zenith that was banned. And the Zeniths were very, very powerful. And so Blue Sun's Twilight, hopefully, says we're going to get 5 Twilight cards. Blue Sun's Twilight is 2 blue and X for a rare sorcery. If you gain control of target creature with mana value X or less, and if X is 5 or more, you make a token that's a copy of that creature. This card seems awesome.
Yeah.
That's very scary.
I love it. Can you imagine?
And it's not even like it's not even an enchantment for me to like blow up in limited. Right. This is just disgusting. No, thank you. Please go away. This is
Sublime Epiphany ++. This is a very scary magic card.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Agent of Treachery.
Oh yeah, and this is definitely that is Jin-Gitaxias, and there's like statues to each of them. So I'm guessing there's a statue to each Praetor for the Twilight, and I mean even just like stupid stuff like give me a Thraben Inspector for 3 mana and I get 2 copies of it. Just like fine, whatever. Like just give me something. Like give me any value. Like this for
you
Commander.
have to have 7 mana.
Right. You have to pay 7 to get the copy.
That's fair. But you know, any Commander setup, this seems like an unbelievable Commander card that everyone's going to love, which is great.
If we get the other interesting thing here is that the original Sun's Zeniths are from Mirrodin.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Sun's Twilight, but we're on Dominaria.
Wanted to bring up the Junji Ito Elesh Norn for a second because it looks incredible.
I mean, once again, we're getting these
so cool,
spectacularly famous artists from everywhere. And Junji Ito is a legendary scary story writer. Perhaps best known for Uzumaki. But basically every scary Japanese manga is either written by or inspired by Junji Ito.
Yeah. It's good. It's good stuff. So yeah, they talked about the complete edition that has 2 foil mythic rares in it that have the little Planeswalker symbol foil on them, which I thought was really cool. Which is better than your average, sort of bundle thing they put together, which there will be a bundle, but there's the complete edition. Excuse me. And they have like some foil, like foil art, foil stuff things that look fantastic.
The oil foils look really good.
Those look
First
incredible.
of all, calling them oil foils is very nice. Like
oily foilies.
That feels good. And then they didn't fumble the bag on it. Like some of the frames, some of the foiling treatments, they don't look good. These look real good from the videos that I've seen.
Yeah, so the complete edition oil slick raised foil basic lands. A lot of people were very excited about these. For those who love foils, they're foily.
I don't like that foiling. Am I the only one?
The basics I don't love.
I'm not a giant fan of it myself, personally.
I like the oil slick, like other stuff.
I also didn't like the foiling that was like super thick that was on some of the like from the vaults.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like it looks like it's like super thick foiling with like the big colored lines in them. I don't like that either.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like on Elesh Norn. I like it on Elesh Norn.
Yeah,
I don't like it on the lands.
Yeah, I agree. This actually looks a lot better.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
Of course, there will be a secret layer.
Do you think maybe this is etched? Is that why it looks different? Like it looks like glossy.
Maybe.
Like
Did they describe it as etched?
They describe it as oil slick raised foils.
Raised foils. I think that might be the etched,
right,
which is why it actually looks a lot cleaner. I hate that super slick And that's the oil, which I get. It's clever, sure, but like this looks good to me. The actual non-etched do not to me.
Right. So there'll be the showcase versions and the Junji Ito version and the extended art or borderless or whatever, and the X and the Y and the Z, and at the end of it, there's like 6 versions. So
oil, regular foil, etched foil.
They had to make sure that Elesh Norn didn't suck, and I'm pretty sure Elesh Norn does not suck.
Agreed.
Let's move out of the first pick here to the Gather of the Townsfolk. Thanks to our sponsor, CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory and prices delivery of cards for Magic Online. Check out Card Hoarder and tell them we sent them your way. They're great. March of the Machine got a little bit of details about it, which is cool. This is, of course, the set after Phyrexia All Will Be One, because we can't do anything but nonstop spoiler season forever, which is fine. Whatever. Don't care. But it is going to arrive in 2023, which is great. This is going to be the conclusion of this. And the battle apparently is worse than anyone imagined. It's going to reach its conclusion, as you do. Now, this is something we talked a little bit about in the pre-show. I was reading something about someone saying, you know what, this is supposed to be like a cataclysmic like story beat. Like this is supposed to change Magic forever. If you're going to complete those 5 walkers, honestly, any of the 5, especially if you hit a big one, it's, nothing's going to be the same. And are they going to do something, crazy and like create a new border or a new frame or use slightly different colors for the colors or change what the mana symbols look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking like they could do some crazy stuff, because this is one of those inflection points when they say, look, everything was different because of this storyline. I don't know.
Yeah. All of those things are things they could do. They could get rid of Planeswalkers. Honestly, they won't.
No.
Those are their cash cows. I'm saying these are the kinds of big. They could introduce a new card type. They could, boy, some of the things I'm thinking of, they probably won't do. But like the types of things that you could do are massive. Changing the card frame is a great one. Changing what the mana symbols look like is a great one. Adding a new rarity, right? Like these are the kinds of things that I could foresee happening for sure.
There you go. So they note here, like March of the Machine, the Aftermath. I'm still fairly in the dark as to what that even means. It's cool that we have a set symbol, which is nice, but it's a standard legal micro set. What the hell is a micro set? There's epilogue boosters with 5 cards in them, which again, have you ever opened a 5-card pack? It's a weird experience. It's going to have bundles as well as collector boosters. An epilogue booster display. How many packs are going to be in that thing? Like 100. And the collector booster display. Again, collector boosters for a standard legal micro set. What is going on here?
I mean, is this because so we have we have 2 sets, right? We have Mom and then
Mama.
And Mama, sure. And then this comes after Mama, if I'm not mistaken.
No, this is Mama. This is Mama. Well, technically MAT. So I
think what's happening is this is going to be a filler product in between, because we go 2 months between this set and the next set, and then 2 months between Mom and Mama, and then we go 4 months between the next premium set. So I think this is going to be one of the mid-tier products that we're getting in that sort of summer season. So it'll be them adding a small amount to standard to shake things up, while also releasing their Modern Horizons 17 or whatever it is that we're doing for the midsummer. They always do that. But it makes it so we don't have a big 4-month gap for no standard changes.
This is like them releasing Alchemy in real life. They're just going to add 5 cards to shake things up. I love that. That makes way more sense.
And Lord of the Rings is going to be the summer set that isn't standard legal, but it's going to be a whole thing. And it's going to be on Arena and whatever. And as Avenger, I noted, look, not every set can be average size. Some are micro. That's okay.
I was going to say,
it's what you do with the set
5
size.
5 inches is more than enough, guys. It's
5 cards.
5 cards is plenty, especially if you've never drafted before.
You can please a player with just 5 cards.
Like a lot of cards.
There's nothing wrong with that,
I was going to make a micro dosing joke, but I think that this one was
goodness.
This is more fun for the whole family.
Show.
I know. How dare I bring up recreational drugs?
Seriously, do you even use the D word? All right, so as we move on,
that's the D word.
Being silly. As we move on here to Desperate Ravings. Check out our Ultra Sleeves. Support the show by using the code MagicMikes at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mikes crew at ultrasleeves.com/magicmikes.
It's this segment. Hold on. Let me get comfy.
It's this one. And I went a little haywire on the pre-show, probably a little too far as I do.
Everybody find get your pillows.
Here we go. This is why Wizards doesn't send me anything anymore. Okay, so
Wizards, I'm not with him.
He's not with me. I'm this random dude. I'm some screaming dude and saying, look, I've been in this game a long time. I've been making content for y'all since 2006. I've seen the bad come. I've seen it go. I've seen Jace coins. I've seen the watches. I've seen the jewelry. I've seen the silver showcase. I have seen the double feature. I have seen Explorers of Ixalan. Wizards of the frigging Coast. If you are listening in the void, set-based Jumpstart is the worst damn product you've made in the past 15 years of my life. Of literally covering, I have never in my life, never in my existence, I don't care if it's an intro pack, if it's a theme deck, if it's a damn arena starter kit, I have never, ever seen a major retailer with multiple stores ordering cool stuff. None. 0 orders for Phyrexia All Will Be One set Jumpstart. Jumpstart 22, amazing. You killed it. Y'all did great. Fantastic job. It's selling wonderfully. Let's go high five. Set-based Jumpstart, you cannot give it away. It is the worst. It is unbelievably bad. And I also recognize that that's a big ship to turn around. You can't just scrap the March of the Machine set Jumpstart or whatever you're doing otherwise. It takes many months. So please, Lord, whatever timeline you happen to be on, if it has a set Jumpstart in it, kill that thing with fire, burn it to death, never talk about it again, bring back theme boosters. I didn't think I'd ever say that in my life. Who wants theme boosters? But set Jumpstart don't sell. It just does not move. It doesn't sell at all. It's crazy. It's not for really kind of anybody. Like the new players will hear about it not having great stuff in it or not having a lot of variety in it. There's already another Jumpstart product, which is way more popular and exciting that can already cause enough confusion. And I can't, I'm sorry. And like I was saying, it's cool. I work for a retailer and I want to sell Magic and Magic's great. And I love Magic stuff. This is me as a Magic player. I don't want products that are this bad. I don't. This product is for nobody. It's for nobody. It's for nobody.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Kudos and applause. Bravissimo, sir. I am so far out of my depth when it comes to this that if you're telling me that it's the worst, based on your experience and passion, I have no recourse to argue against it. It just doesn't feel relevant enough to be that bad to me. But maybe the problem is that it was supposed to be, and people are losing, bags and bags of money over not being able to sell it, and that this is a symptom of the big problem, which is nobody wants it. I don't know. The cards looked cool. Like, the cards looked fun. There were interesting reprints. We did a whole ass top 10.
Now, are we talking about Jumpstart 2022?
No.
Okay, because set Jumpstart's different.
Yeah, set Jumpstart.
Okay, because set Jumpstart has some amount of, of the rares from Brothers War or whatever in it.
Right.
But it has like that cycle of rares again that aren't very expensive or exciting, or people don't really want them anyway. And I think the real killer of that product is there's only like 5 or 6 packs you can open. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you open a Jumpstart booster in like one of like 40 different themes or whatever. There's like 5 or 6, and I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
It's a lot of buzzkill. And, again, I want good Magic products, man. And I just feel like they took Jumpstart, which is a brilliant idea and a great product that's still awesome. OG Jumpstart, Jumpstart 22, great products. Not saying they're bad. I love Jumpstart. Keep Jumpstart. Lose set Jumpstart. Do something different. I don't care what we do, and we move back to theme decks. We gotta stop the madness, y'all.
I'm only going to say something because I'll get a bunch of bad comments saying that I didn't say anything. They made a bad product. I don't disagree that it's bad and it's going to be the worst one ever and nobody wants it, yada, yada. I think I do not care.
Yeah, that's the big.
That is the extent of it. They're pumping out product after product after product. They're not all going to be winners. One is a dud. Maybe that'll make them slow down and put a little more effort into some of the things. And maybe we get one less product next year and a slightly higher quality of product. That'd be great. They're not going to be winners, and I'm totally okay with that. Don't buy it.
And so, that's totally cool.
The clarification I would ask, because I agree with you, but how many times have they made set boosters?
Well, at this point, we're going. They did it for DMU. Did they do it for Streets of New Capenna? I think they did it for Streets of New Capenna. I can't remember.
But the number's like somewhere around 4-ish.
3-ish, 4-ish. And it's just...
They've all been duds?
Uh-huh. Well, it was one of those where, I think you have a thing where people are like, oh, this might be cool, right? There's that initial, it might be cool. And then it started going this way. And then like the people who thought it might be cool, less and less and less. And then another one came out and it kind of was a new plateau that went lower. And another one came out and it was a new plateau that was lower. And then finally it was like, what do we do with this product?
So,
so
chat's
DMU
saying
and
that
Bro.
it's DMU and Bro are the only two that have it. But they're 0 for 2 because both of those were bad in terms of sales.
Yeah, and so feel free to look it up.
Once is a coincidence and twice is a trend. 3 times is evidence. I'll give them one more shot.
I mean, maybe they do something crazy different because they've gotten some amount of initial feedback that they got to change stuff when it comes to whatever the next set Jumpstart is. And again, I hope they do. Please, Jumpstart's a brilliant idea, but this is not the way, as the Mandalorian would say.
Set Jumpstart.
Set Jumpstart needs some work. It needs some work. That said, there were some pretty crazy stats for Wizards for Magic the Gathering in 2022. 10,498 card variations were printed. That means every single version of every single card. That's 14.7% of all cards in Magic history. And you noted something, Ruben, that even if you take out the multiple versions, it's still like 12% of all cards in Magic history. Yeah,
let me dig up the stats.
That's insane.
Keep going.
That's nuts. 425 new commanders this year. That's 1.16 a day.
Right.
That's a
more
whole
than one
bunch.
a day is insane.
That's amazing. Approximately 18% of all words and all rules texts of all cards ever printed were in 2022.
Yeah. Shout out to MTG_DS
on Twitter
for this. That is Magic Data Science, doing the math for Magic, doing the math with Magic.
Yeah, God bless them.
But they're doing the math, so you don't have to, is what they're doing. And they were the ones who came out with this statistic, and then they came out with some follow-up stats. Replicating the number of card variations printed with no reprints, no variants, no digital only, 8.5% of unique cards debuted in 2022, which is still a massive number.
That's a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So the 14.7 figure is a confluence of several increasing factors, including variants, digital, and increased production. So it is. Listen, every statistic is biased. Every number is what the person telling you the number wants the number to say. Code is inherently the opinion of who wrote the code, right? Like we've all heard this. With that said, we're distilling the numbers down as best we can, and the numbers are still saying what we want them to say. But the line's going up. Yeah, but the line's going up. Number go up. Like if you take away nothing else, it's that the bucket is being filled more than it ever has been before, and it's going up exponentially.
Yeah, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. But Nerd Girl, have you felt like overwhelmed this year with the amount of stuff?
Well, thankfully, I don't have to deal with a lot of it because they're not premiere sets that are played limited, right? Like a lot of these are pre-con commander decks and the extra stuff and the Universes Beyond and Secret Layers.
And Zangief.
I have not bought any secret layers outside of the 2 charity ones that I've bought. So I don't personally get overwhelmed because I just sort of hone in on whatever the premiere set is. Yes, they're coming faster, but it's not outrageous. I am getting more and more into Commander, but that's more like a world of wonder. I don't feel like I need to know every card going into a table. I'm just like, oh, what's that do? Oh, cool, sick. And I'm just like, okay to forget it in 10 seconds and I'll like discover it again in a month. So that doesn't bother me not knowing. But when I play limited, I do need to know all of it. And that just does not apply here.
Should they ever do it? Go ahead.
No, I'm changing subjects.
Oh, I was kind of doing the same. I was like, do you ever think they should do another one of those like rebalanced limited formats like they tried with New Capenna earlier this year?
I mean, not like New Capenna.
I hated it when I first heard because I thought that they were going to be replacing the premiere set to where like we would want to be able to practice for like Grand Prix and our local card shops and stuff. Mm-hmm. But because it was just sort of like one of those flashback drafts, I'm totally fine with it. As long as you get to collect the regular version of it when you draft the card, they can do what they want with the old retro drafts.
Neat.
Playing off of what Nerd Girl was talking about, one of my favorite things about Commander is that no one knows what any of the cards do. So it's like, yeah. Tell me when it's relevant. Like for half of the cards on the board, it's very funny.
Like, does that affect me? No? Great. All right, I'm going to draw. I'm going to play so-and-so. All right, great. Let me know when that's
Everybody
relevant.
Set up and do their own thing for 10 minutes. Yeah, it's awesome.
There you go. All right, let's turn the corner here to the finisher. Now, the biggest collectible card news this week is not Magic. It is not Hearthstone. It is not Flesh and Blood or Marvel Snap or Pokemon. No, surprisingly and yet somehow not surprisingly at all, the hottest news this week in cards is a Donald Trump NFT trading card. In his first significant public move since opening his 2024 presidential campaign last month, the former guy announced an online store to sell $99 digital trading cards of himself as a superhero, an astronaut, an Old West sheriff, and a series of other fantastical figures. There's no 2 concepts that deserve each other more than himself and those NFTs. So tell me, what are your thoughts on this latest card-based publicity stunt, Ruben?
First of all, I just want to apologize for this joke. That this joke had to be written and that we're talking about this person. However, I'm going to make fun of things. I've owned $99 Magic cards, but the difference is those cards were playable in current environments, political and otherwise. I'm not sure this meta is right for this product. Though if it were somehow playable, it's gonna be playable in Vintage and probably not Commander again.
Sure hope not. Nerd Girl?
Well, as a Midwest kid who grew up with euchre and spades, I've long been a fan of trump cards, but this isn't exactly what I had in mind.
The hell's a euchre? What are y'all doing?
I don't know what it is either.
I don't know what a euchre is.
Listen, I need my Michigan and Indiana and Ohio people to back me up on euchre.
He just made it up.
The only game that you play. This is the only game I play with my family at Christmas other than Left, Right, and Center.
I don't even know what that is. With my retail experience, I know what the people want, and the people don't want those trading cards, certainly not those NFTs, but they want Trump RPG minis because nothing would be more satisfying as a D&D player than defeating that mini in combat. There you go. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me. See you guys next week.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
All right, as we move on here to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffing.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and Alter Sleeves, my co-host, Nerd Girl, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.